you monitor this and you can't hear someone, just text me and I'll let them know to talk more into the mic.
Okay.
She said,
It's still uploading. Okay. You're live.
Okay, this Administrative and Budget Committee of Barron County Court will meet on Thursday, April 1st, 2021, beginning at 10:30 a.m. in Barron County Government Center, Physical Courtroom, 117 North Public Square, Suite 3A, Glasgow, Kentucky, to consider the following agenda. I call this meeting to order, and we have the first on the list, 10:30, is the Road Department. We have Susan, Scott, and of course, Judge representing that division. So I'm going to turn it over to Susan, and then you can let whoever else speak besides you.
Okay. The first line item would be the computer software development. I'm really not sure why we haven't bought any kind of software lately, so that's probably why it's not showing any amount on that one. I believe the security services is at a good spot because we're only sitting at 23% of that. The custodial supplies, the office supplies, the other supplies, I believe we're good on those. The telephone, I think we need to up it some. We've got a cell phone and an iPad now that we're paying for. I figured it up approximately $1,920 a year that we needed to increase that.
Guys on the Mark, you and Billy, do you all have that in front of you?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, just making sure you see that.
So you need to increase it from 1,900 to 3,800?
No, we need to increase it 19
Just say 19. Okay, put it on.
and then add another 1920 to it. So that'd be 3820.
Okay, that's what I said.
Yeah,
I'm
like
sorry, I misunderstood what you said.
should we just make it 4? Round it up, make it 4? Okay.
Okay, the next one would be the office furniture, new office equipment. What are your thoughts on leaving the amounts the same and just combining them together?
I mean, looks like it would be simpler.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it'd be 1,000 total on them,
Mhm.
and just make it, what are you going to change it to, Miss?
We'll just put it, office furniture / office equipment.
Okay,
And then you can decide whether that's going to be a 90 or 72 line item.
Yeah, we'll just leave it on 79.
Okay.
The next one is the contract construction. We've not had anything come out of that. I think we were using it for like the smaller construction companies that we were using.
Subcontract.
But we've not taken anything out of that. I think it's always come out of the other one.
Gotcha.
We won't leave that line.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that line on.
Because it's-
what are you seeing this coming year, Susan, Scott? Maybe a question for you. I know you've hired on some quality guys that I know of, and you're probably not gonna have to do much contract unless you get into emergency situation like we did in the storm and winter. You think?
That's gonna be the only thing I foresee that you might have to spend that money on, because we are doing more in-house than we were. And we're still doing really good on our budget. So,
Great.
That's what, yeah, that's excellent. That's why I was thinking to leave it in there, because I know that, like, we built some sheds,
right.
but we did that in-house. If something come up that we could, that money's there to use it. So,
Yeah, there's always a chance that something may happen
Right.
that we will need to hire contractors to help us out.
And here's my example for that, and for what I'm looking to in the upcoming budget year. Obviously, we've hired a couple of folks that can oversee construction projects. So that gives them the ability, just say for a low water ford, he can get him a concrete crew and he can oversee the project. We can use it out of this line item. That's what I'm looking at. So.
Any other questions on that?
Thank you.
The next one is contracts with private agencies. Judge, that's flex, that's big projects that we hire out.
Yeah, there's several things rolled up into that one figure. And if you all would like to divvy that out in different line items, that's fine. Or we can, I don't know if you feel like we need more checks and balances on it or not, but of course, anything that we do or purchase, we run it through the transportation committee to get approval. But yeah, we have a lot of things that do come out of this current. And if you look at it, where we're at now, we're at 48%. So, we're at the end of third quarter. We're in pretty good shape.
Good shape on it. I only thought, I probably would like more detail there,
Sure.
But for example, if we, just like our contract mowing that we used to do, that's a pretty good size. Line item. I think I would break that one out, but if just small ones, I wouldn't.
Well,
Because I think that helps you track it better too.
here's one of your largest things that come out of this would be your flex funding. As Susan said, but we get that reimbursed.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So that's kind of a wash, but, just take, for instance, 300 and some odd thousand came out of that, but it was put right back in there. So, and then we pull from, for private contractors that on a big scale. Do we pay our snow removal folks out of this?
That would be a question for Jenny.
I don't know,
Okay.
but I can look that up.
I would think that's where we would pay them from.
That's what I was.
Yeah, anybody contract labor we'd have to hire. Yeah, but we'll break it all down for you. And
Well, I'm fine with it either ways, as long as, Jenny and Susan and Scott, whatever works the best for you guys.
Well, when I look at that item, I kind of have in my head what I know comes out of it. When I turn it in, like the paving or like a project that we've hired a contractor out for, or if we've had somebody draw up plans, I'll automatically know it's gonna come out of that
That's great.
category.
So you are looking at this report every so often to see the percentage.
She sends me a report every month and I update, I look at the update.
That's great. Good. And
Susan, make sure that myself and Jamie Bigroff gets the same copy. So if we go out to do something, figure a bid, replacing a tile or whatever, we know what we're looking at. And one other thing that we've got together about, like today, we're replacing a tile on Red Cross. The cost of replacement of that tile, we're gonna count every penny of it. We're gonna know what a 60-inch tile is gonna cost us if we have to put another one in. Exactly. So we're just gonna keep track of all that.
good.
But where y'all get your monthly reports from me, I do a report for us on each project each day where we use materials. Like Scott said, I break it apart just like, so I can go back and.
And
look
that's
and see
good
what the
for
project cost.
audit, if you get audited.
Sure.
Like.
Well, not only that, but if
Look at
you
your notes.
can look down the road and find a way to cut costs on the amount of rock or the type of rock you use or materials, you can look at that and see what it cost you the time before and tweak it and try to stretch them dollars out a little more. Right?
All right, next.
Rentals, that's for equipment rentals. I think what's in that line item, we should be fine on that one. the asphalt and road oil. That is the oil for cold mix, the oil for the pothole patcher, the chip seal oil. And if you look, not much of that's
Mm-mm.
been used. That was because normally we would do from 15 to 17 tankers of oil to chip seal. Last year, I think it was 2, maybe 3 tankers. And then we just made our second batch of cold mix.
So what do you project by July 1st?
If we make another batch of cold mix,
So you're,
it's not gonna go with all. The percentage wise, it's not gonna change a whole lot. But if we start using more cold mix, then we'll be using that a little bit more, not quite as much as the chip seal, but
And that sort of moves me into my next thing I'd like to talk about on the asphalt road oil as it relates to this. And Scott has went and looked at a paver. We feel like we could run this coal mix through, maybe start paving some of these dead end roads. So the sale is this weekend.
No,
It's not
it's the 9th,
the night.
April the 9th.
Okay.
That will be next. The following week.
Okay, so what I was in hope is we could do is, since we've got the money in the budget this year, maybe call a special call, give him the authorization to go and maybe purchase this because it will be at auction. And then he took a guy with him that who has ran a paver a lot throughout his life, and that's community input. And so that's what I'd like to do. And I can go ahead and put that notification out, but we'd have to do that sometime tomorrow afternoon, real quick. So
what's the book value roughly? I know we don't know what it's gonna be, but
just,
I have no idea what.
I was just wondering because you're already at that line item, just 18%, you got to 30,000, so you hadn't spent much of that.
well,
It's kind of somewhat.
I can tell you what a new one costs, $140,000.
So, and how old is this one?
I'm not exactly sure what the year model it is.
but for what we want to do,
It's a good piece of equipment for what we're wanting to do with
and
for the money. I can tell you that the ones that I have looked at, that are similar to this, just by looking at the pictures of them, that they'll run you from $25,000 to up to $75,000 used.
Okay.
Well, would you be more comfortable purchasing a used one to begin with and then you later on?
That would be my suggestion, to see how it's going to pan out.
that was our intentions. And Susan, that will come out of the equipment line item,
yeah, the other equipment.
other equipment.
Mhm.
And I think with our totals on that, by the time we paid for the tractors, then of course the new truck is a separate line item, correct?
Yeah, and it looks like the tractors has already came out of that.
Okay, so we have roughly what, 50,000 or is it 100,000? I can't remember.
Oh, in that line item?
Yeah.
155.
Okay. But the tractors has already come out of
Yeah,
that.
so we're looking at 27.
Okay,
Where's that was line? What line is it?
That is 7390. It's on the second
the back
page.
page.
Okay. All right, just a second.
Then, of course, the court would set the price of not to exceed. So if you're looking at this budget, maybe we can pull from somewhere else. If we only have 50 to play with and you want him to go up to 75, we'd have to find it within the budget to, it just depends. We don't know what this thing will bring. We don't. Well, just depends on how bad somebody else wants it.
That's right.
So
I mean, I already see it at 40, 50 line out on asphalt and road oil. It could be robbed a little bit there.
It could be,
Like,
Right.
you guys have
If
plenty of
I-
yeah.
If you want it bad enough, we should be able to let the court, the other members look at that number.
Sure.
18%, and we don't know what the weather's gonna be like in June to even get started on that. May not even use any more.
I'd say we're using up one more batch out of this budget anyway,
Oh, yeah.
with the tile replacements that we're gonna be doing. So,
Still got some to go with.
Yeah.
Possible. Next,
The concrete, I think we're fine on that. That's where we, if we have a project, we hire a concrete truck to come out and we've not 16%, so we're still good there. I think that one will be fine. The crushed stone, we're looking at 42%, but projections, that rock's probably gonna go up. I mean, till we get our bid list in and award the bids, we're not really gonna know. So
right,
are y'all gonna be comfortable with that number?
we can't, well, you can't. Has rock went up? I haven't paid much attention in my business. I think it's been kind of steady.
Well, we're locked in because of the bids.
Okay.
So we really don't know.
But I
for
mean,
sure.
I don't know even in person, I don't think it's went too much more, so we'll see.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, we just won't know for sure.
Well, according to just what the conversation Kenneth and I had outside, Scotty's has done raised the price at $11.
Okay, so we're looking at.
You're looking at some
So
increase.
do you all didn't mention that on the line item increase.
No, but that, I knew that was one that we were gonna have to talk about.
I mean, I see it looking more, this is just my suggestion, and even in my, I mean, probably seeing it more looking at 15 versus. Where's that? You got 100,000. I don't know, we're probably at least 10% on that, I would think.
I'd probably, myself, I believe I'd put that about 150,000. Just, because we don't know what rock is gonna do. So, and we know we know that if we make more coal mix, we're gonna be using
Yeah.
1,100 size rock and not the 9s. So our really 9s, we're not gonna use hardly any of them. And we've stockpiled so much down there that we've probably got enough to last us 2 years. So,
Yes, we still got a large amount of 9 rock. The 11s cost what, so you remember?
Right now, $10 a ton, plus if we have it hauled in, it's $4 a ton, so $14 a ton for the 11 rock. It's coming out of Hart County. And keep in mind, when you make coal mix, it takes, like the last time we made it, it was 405 ton of rock for one load of coal mix, one batch of coal mix.
We don't do anything that's gonna handicap you, keep you from doing whatever you need to do, so.
I think, like they said, if we end up with this machine that you buy, then we're gonna see that definitely go up, period.
yeah,
So with the increase of that possible, plus the increase of the price, what the judge recommended, 150 probably is not a bad number for you all to work on and not be worried about your budget. Because we gotta have roads. We already talked about that. Mark got, and all the. So do we want to just go on and this is all tentatively today anyway. But I'll probably just put the 150 on that line. I don't know, present it to the court, see what happens. Jenny put it in her notes too. All right, next.
Fertilized chemicals, seed, etc. I didn't put that on your paper that I sent you all, but if eventually we do go back to spraying, it's been a couple years since we've sprayed, so I'm not really sure on what the cost of the chemicals are. So depending on, because we do buy seed, and I'm sure the straw and stuff like that will come out of that line as well. So do you want to leave it at that, or do you want to possibly increase it due to doing the spraying?
Yeah, not sure how much these chemicals would cost.
Well, the research I've done on it, it's 30, just for Johnson grass alone, it's $30 an acre spray.
I think one thing we were talking about, I mean, we've listened to other counties, the judge was on it too. Probably just see how it goes. Let's concentrate on that, see how your manpower is. We know that you're gonna be struggling for manpower. I would just leave it as is in my recommendation, and let's see how the mowing crew goes. See if we can't just make it work. And let that be something to talk about next year, is what I would, my recommendation. Mark, you have a comment, or you and Billy on that? Let's just see how.
That sounds good to me, I think, on that.
That's just gonna eliminate trying to come up with extra help, and let's just worry about getting the roads mowed, try to please everybody. And we'll see what the chemical, do a little more research, just in my opinion on what I'm hearing.
We probably could do something spraying, I mean, like a small sprayer and like the guy that's on the drums, boom mower. He could do some spot spraying,
The only thing is with that, I can't send anybody right now to get tested and trained. I've only got one that's
Right.
was able to get his recertification until they open up the training. We've got one.
My suggestion is just do it the old fashioned way, mow it, and weed eat it for right now, and then we'll go from there.
That's right.
And get to training maybe this winter coming up, just see how it goes. Scott, you decide what you want to do on that, present it to us. If you think you can save some man hours on spraying, study it, and see how your crew works this year. That's what I would suggest.
That would be my suggestion is let's just keep doing like we're doing mowing. And we'll do more research on it and see how much money it's gonna cost us before we ever make a decision on any kind of spraying whatsoever. I can tell you right now, that spraying gets in your pocket pretty quick.
Well, we've got to have a vehicle too,
And that's another thing, you're gonna have to invest in a truck to be able to go out and do that, so.
Let's move on.
All right.
The next line item, garage supplies, I believe we're good on that one. The safety material supplies, that's for like hard hats,
Mhm.
gloves, stuff like that. Road materials, I believe we're fine on that one. The operating fuel,
Yeah.
possibly increase on that.
I believe I would, because we see fuel, I think across the board, we have figured $3 a gallon for all departments. I feel like it's probably gonna be a little bit over that. I hope not. I think if we go ahead and prepare, maybe move that up to about 100,000. I think that would be good.
I agree.
Me too, because it's gonna go up, I think.
One, two, this year we'll have the 3 tractors and running
Yeah,
two, so
right.
that'll be an automatic increase
Yeah,
right there.
but
The next one is the pipe.
got it on our sheet.
Yeah. That one's gonna have to be an increase.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to increase that, because we know we have a lot of big pipes we've got to replace in all parts of the county. That needs to at least be 75, I would think. Because we're already, well, you see where we're at. And we just purchased that other one for Red Cross, and we know we're gonna identify the other one. So we're gonna be close to, this shows 45%. We're probably gonna be about 65, 70% here in the next couple of weeks on just this one line item.
And with the quality of engineers you got on there, they're gonna keep on
Mhm.
looking and doing things. So yes, I agree too.
I agree too, because
Yeah,
with the rains and stuff that we've had and can have, tiles, a lot of them are getting laid.
Mhm.
Yes.
we've already had to transfer money into that line item this year, so it does need to be increased.
Okay,
So if we can make that 75 good with you all.
yes,
Yes.
All right.
good to present to the court. Yeah, we're just writing numbers down
That's fine.
today.
Okay. Go ahead.
Signs, we're good on that one. We're doing as needed on those. When they get damaged, then we replace the whole thing. We're just not going around replacing every single post and sign. So I believe we're fine on that one. The salt,
Yeah, they don't got
it's
that.
gonna require possibly an increase, not knowing till next week what prices we're looking at on the salt. We've asked for 300 ton on the reverse salt auction,
We talk about moving that to 30,
35.
35.
That way, in case if we have to do like we did this year and hire somebody to go pick it up for us, that will cover that cost as well.
On that reverse auction, of course, that's, where the lowest bidder, is the winner of that. But do they set a minimum bid?
I don't think they do.
They don't?
I don't know that I've got into it that detail. I've watched the auction before, but they just started out and go with it. We have paid as much as 110 per ton too. This last time it was less than that, so
Alright.
I was basing it off of $100 a ton.
One thing about it, we got, ice, we gotta have salt.
Yeah,
That's all I gonna break it.
Mhm.
So.
All right.
Tools. I'm thinking, possibly increasing it by 1,000 because he is saving some money doing a lot of stuff in-house. So if there's anything he needs specialty tool wise,
yes. So
You
up
only need, yeah,
it to 3,
only to 3.
or you want more?
Yeah.
I spoke to the mechanic about it yesterday and he thought 3 would be a good number.
Cause he needs what he needs.
And he wants to get some, small kits for like the mowing crew and the boom mower.
Mhm.
That way, if they blow a hose, they've got the stuff to take them off and get them replaced right then.
Yes,
So, but yeah, he was comfortable with that number because he didn't foresee any specialty tools for what we have right now. But if we get some more equipment, that might change. Tires, I believe we're good on that one. Uniforms, that's the one that we may need to increase because that's what, that first uniform line, not the rental,
not the rental.
because that pays, so much on a pair of boots for every employee.
What was that increase?
I was thinking 3,
Yeah.
because if we
So,
get jackets, yeah.
So make that 3 too.
Uniform rental, we're good on that one. Renewals and repairs, I think we're fine on that one. We're fine.
What's the uniform that you have to rent?
Right now, I think the bill yesterday was like $70-some a week.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Communication equipment. Judge, do you anticipate any more radios or?
No, I do not.
Okay. Motor vehicles.
So here's one, if you guys want to leave it in, fine. If not, I think this is where our new dump trucks come out of. Am I talking correctly there, Sue?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe this budget cycle, we should forego buying a new one. We have what, 7? Does this make 7 or 8 new ones? 8. And if you, that would pretty much, and when we have what, three that are used, but are still good shape.
Right.
Yeah, so, I think one of our largest needs right now, of course, we're gonna have to test some CDL drivers and get more drivers, is we have more trucks than drivers right now.
Mhm.
But the other side of that, we have more operators than we do equipment. So if we could think about maybe adding another backhoe to our fleet, because we've got several backhoe operators and we can keep 2 operators busy. So I'd like to at least consider that. Maybe purchasing another backhoe, whether it's new or used or what have you, but, I mean, I think that's one. I mean, Scott, you can comment on that if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt, 2 backhoes would go out every day. And we do have more people that's operating equipment down here that can get work done. So to me, it's a no-brainer. You could use another backhoe. And we're going to be putting in more of these tiles. That's why we want more money in that tile budget.
Something that you all are doing this, but I know since I've added on in my little fleet, a track hoe 2 years ago is magic. I don't even want to look at my back. I know you're all a little different, but a track hoe does, it's just, we're doing that turning around, and something to look at. I'm not talking about a great big one, but I could see a medium-sized track hoe big time. And once you figure you're going to want it versus, because we don't hardly use our backhoe any since I got the track hoe. I'm just using that example, and I can see you all trying to do tiles, spinning around in there and doing the job 10 times quicker. That's just my opinion on that, but.
And I don't disagree.
And you don't have to have CDLs to pull that down the road. You can get a trailer like I do, and you can pull that, anybody in there can pull that down. You don't have to worry about it. They can go do a job, start it. They need somebody else to bring the skid steer down, but you can get a trailer and not have to have a CDL to get the skid steer down there. I don't.
Right.
Well, that's right. I mean, and that's.
And
another-
manage that, and that track code, it just,
It's something
just
that you can look at.
so much easier to operate and spin around in tight places.
Mhm.
But anyway, I know y'all can talk about that, but I'd love to see y'all look at that, and then that'll get you anybody running it down that don't have license at the time, legally get on there and start digging out pipe.
Right.
But we'd have to have one large enough because of the reach that we're having.
Yeah,
You would definitely want a mid-size.
Yeah.
but they'll reach as far as my backhoe, my mid-size right now,
That's right.
but something to talk about.
Sure. But that's what I'd like to do, maybe just forego a truck this time, maybe pick up a truck maybe the next year, but right now the fleet's in good shape, and not only that, we've got a mechanic that's keeping them in good shape.
Right.
That
That's
preventative
main
maintenance.
thing.
Yeah,
It's all about maintenance. Well, your mechanic has saved you lots of dollars so far.
he sure has.
Just by being able to do more in-house than farm it out.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, sorry.
So we're gonna leave the motor vehicles at that.
You can, or whatever y'all think.
I think you ought to leave it in there. I think.
Okay.
The other equipment,
Yeah, you've got that.
And that's where your track hoe would come out of. But,
mhm.
if that's what we decided to do
You're at 82.
for the tractors.
Yeah,
The tractor.
I think you're having the money to do it, because you're not talking the size at
Well,
50,000 easy.
keep in mind too, also that would be where a paper would come in out of.
Right.
And then like snow plows, even the handheld tool, like the leaf blowers, the weed eaters, chainsaw, stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken, comes out of that as well, unless you want to create a line for the smaller equipment.
That's it.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we just, because we know what we're talking about on what we're thinking to use. And we know we're going to have a couple of pickup trucks that we may have to get rid of because they're starting to nickel and dime us to death. So we may pull that back out of the motor vehicle aspect of it. I thinking we just leave it like it is. I don't know that there'd be any need for increase.
Okay.
The only other one that I see would be the training. The registrations, conferences and training. Do you want to leave it at that, or do you want to increase in case we can start training again?
I would, I just don't know what that number looks like. Yeah. You know? And the state may see this as a revenue, start charging counties more, right? I mean, I just don't know. And do we put that at 2,500 or to be safe?
Well, I think most of the training, they're about $100 a person, aren't they? Yeah.
How many employees are there?
The goal is,
Well, right.
and the goal is to get 15. So, and that's not including the mowing crew. They're extra.
What do you think, Scott? Oh. Not bad for training your guys? I don't know what all training you're all doing, so you're gonna have to tell us.
Well, the most of the training we're doing right now is just putting people on equipment and letting them do more things.
Okay.
But the training part, as far as the classroom, I don't know that you would need to put any money into it right now.
Okay.
But it is something that the judge and I have talked about. There are some classes that are being given by the state that would benefit our workforce. And we really need to maybe later on look at that and spend a little money in that area.
I'm sure at the time comes, if y'all needed it, we can get it out of something.
And we talked about sending, when we promote crew leaders, maybe sending them through this type of training. That way they get the extra. Scott's been through it.
I've had it. It's
Yeah.
beneficial out here for what we have to do with roads.
I'm fine to increase if you need to, but Scott, if you feel like we need to leave it, just whatever you recommend.
For right now, it's my
Just leave it.
recommendation just to leave it the way it is, and then
Good
we
enough.
can look at it at a later time.
Good deal.
Sounds good.
All right.
Like Susan said, right now, the state's not giving any of these courses anyway
Right.
until the scopes stuff is worked out.
They're getting on the job training right now.
And I need to, we're gonna add a line item, like we're gonna add a line item to each department for the accumulated leave time.
Mhm.
So the second page on the packet that you guys have, shows an average of the vacation hours that are accrued and, averaging out, for 4 people for the road department. That's what I based it on. So it'd be a $10,000 line item for that.
So-
For accumulated leave time.
10,000.
Because right now that just sort of comes right straight from the general fund when people leave. So we'd like to at least get that in the budget, checks and
Be
balances.
fair for everybody.
Mhm.
All right, anything else?
Unless y'all got something else?
Hey, great job.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so, moving on down the list,
Sure.
the sheriff can gather up his stuff as Scott and Susan. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
If you all see him out in the hall, he's ready. We're ready for him.
There he is.
On in, Sheriff.
Mr. Sure.
All right.
Oh. We gotta laugh a little.
Yeah, you're right.
Welcome to meet, Sheriff.
Hey, glad to be here.
Sorry, we're over just a few minutes, but that's okay.
I'll take it out of your.
All right.
Okay. Hey, how you doing today?
Oh, Ken.
All right.
Billy, you wait.
All right.
Here.
I'm gonna turn to the sheriff. We'll get to rolling here, line item by line item. Sheriff's what we're doing. We're not really discussing any salaries today, just operational. Okay.
That'll help me out a lot.
Great.
So with that said, if we can skip down a few line items,
Mhm.
as you pointed out, we're not discussing salary type things. So that's gonna take us down to, let's see, let's start with advertising. You see advertising down
Yes,
there?
30/20.
Mhm. I have no changes to advertising, in the upcoming year.
Okay.
Sheriff's Accounting Services, I have no changes. I will point out that we had 3 audits this past year that we did not expect. That kind of lies in the hands of the auditors. They do their own scheduling. So we put in the $20,000 every year expecting 2. We got 3 last year. So
So that's why you're right at the max, but that's not gonna be any more between now. Okay.
well, I don't intend,
Hopefully.
there's no way I can project that, Squire Bots.
Thank you.
I could obviously throw money at it, but there's no guarantee we'll have 3 audits this year. Moving right along, private agencies, leaving that alone also, that's generally our computer contracts with Cornerstone, who also maintains our tax service program, computer programs. So I'm not adding anything to that. Computer software development, obviously 0. We didn't have anything there. Medical services is $1,500. I'm leaving that alone. Rentals, 0. Bailiff screenings, that's the first line item I'd like to add $200 to, from 300 to 500.
Okay.
They are charging, if I hire new bailiffs, they are charging obviously a testing fee and things of that nature. I may have 1 or 2 that may be slotted for retiring this year. I'm not sure about that. I've been told with a circuit court judge, we're going to start back in person May the 1st, May the 3rd, I believe. Whatever the first Monday in May is,
Okay.
they're going to start back. So that means I've got a bailiff beside every judge. I've got 2 in the entryway. We're still manning the little house out front because the judges would like a person screened, meaning you can't take just your friends and your neighbors and everybody into court. It's just the person who is cited to court and their attorneys. So we're still going to manage that screening house there. Moving on to ammunition. I'd like to add $1,000 to that. Our ammunition cost as of January went up 10%, even if you can find it. Luckily, I have been able to find some most recently, and we've had some donations from the community that put us a little ahead on that. So that's a blessing. Animal, dog food supplies, I'm gonna leave that alone, no increases. Also, I'd like to point out local veterinarians have assisted with a lot of the medical services for the animal, the drug dog and tracking dog, this dual trained dog. And they have given physicals and medical maintenance to the dog without charges. So I'd like to point that out.
That's good.
Office supplies, I think it's, I see 11,000 there, no changes to that. Petroleum products, ladies and gentlemen, this is uncertainty. I've tried several ways over the years to try to estimate petroleum products, and I haven't found a good rule of thumb to do that.
And again, currently we're budgeted about $3 a gallon is where we're at. So we've done this, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? So.
Now, I have written down here, and we can discuss this. Obviously, we hear horror stories from the West Coast to $4 a gallon and things of that nature. Obviously, our increase just came 2 months ago when it went from about $2 a gallon to $2.60, $2.70 in the last few days.
Right.
I have added, just in my notes, $5,000 to that. Now, I don't have a real good rule of thumb because fuel is such a monster to try to estimate. And as you can see, I still have about
47.
I got the right line item. Is that
You're about 50%, right? Well, 47.
47%.
47? Most of that increase, percentage wise, came in the last 2 months. So it's kind of hard to estimate, but I'll take some guidance on that if anybody wants to throw in on that.
Just guessing, but I'd say it's a good chance it'll go up.
Yes, sir. Honestly, we're kind of anticipating, even though we'd rather not, it'd be $3 a gallon plus, which at that rate would put us at a break even if it were that. I was adding $5,000 on it as a little bit of cushion in case it went to 325, possibly 350, which I have no way of. Sorry.
And most of this is just fuel for the cars,
It
correct?
is.
Well, and I know it'd be difficult at times, can you buy that for one place?
Well,
They give you a better price
basically,
or not?
the judge can correct me, we're dealing with Big Metal Oil.
Mhm.
That's who we deal with.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, I was-
So that is kind of one place, so to speak.
Okay.
Now, we fuel up at many different locations,
Correct.
but the hub of that, I think, is Big Metal Oil.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because, you know, with the business that you're in, it would be difficult that, you know, because you're trying to cover 600 miles. I mean, you can't just drive from the farthest point in Barron County back to get your fuel.
Mark, you and Billy, why don't we, I know he's presented to buy, but why don't we just say 125 and where you don't have to be worrying about it? Is that fair? I mean, that's,
That's what I'm saying.
and that way, thank you for going low, but we need to go 125, I think. And just- and then,
heavy. Right.
and then we can look at it next year.
Okay, if we've got that settled, fellas, let's go to uniforms, next line item. I added 1,000 to that because of January, they announced a 10% increase.
So 15,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Okay, bailiff uniforms, I've left that alone. We're decent shape on that, even though I'm ordering a few things here lately I have two basic periods of the year that I order supplies. Just like when school starts in the early fall, we check the guys for uniforms, shirts, coats, things of that nature. In the spring, we go again. I'm in a situation where I'm ordering some stuff presently for the road guys, again, shirts, pants, shoes, boots, things like that. So right now, I don't have any added to the bailiff's uniform budget. That Kentucky Homeland Security thing, that's not, we've got a grant out, it's been out for 12 months, fellas, it's on body armor. If it comes in, if it's awarded, I think the treasurer and the judge, they adjust it there, so we, but those things on average are not awarded, but every 18 months. And it's been sent off since August. So I don't know if that's gonna come in. That's a $5,600 grant, it's gonna get 9 pieces of body armor. That's what it's gonna get. Other supplies, materials, it's $500. I did not add anything to that. Bonds and securities, there's 12,000. I did not add anything there. Nothing in memberships, nothing in postage charges, nothing in refunds. Registrations and conferences, we left alone. Court security training, 15, we left alone. Renewals and repairs. Now, here's something also, it's a little hard to deal with, fellas. I've added 5,000 to it because as of late, and many of you, ladies and gentlemen, understand probably better than I, these parts and pieces and stuff to repair and try to order and get here has become quite a challenge. I don't have a lot of research on how to put that $5,000 to it, other than I just put a round figure to it to see what we could start. What's my final total in that, Jenny, in that line item there?
That you have used already.
Well, what have I got left?
25,
Yeah,
20,
you have 25% left, basically. You got 14,400.
Okay. Of course, obviously, we've got some cars that are in the repair stage now.
No.
Telephone, no changes. I'm flipping my page there.
Sure.
Yep.
Did you increase the renewal repair 60,000 or are you leaving it alone?
I would like to ask to increase it 5,000 for a total of 65.
Okay, all right.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for travel. It's my second page. Top line item, second page.
yes.
Okay. Again, here's another situation where the Department of Criminal Justice Training in Richmond, who is the parent organizer of our required 40 hours training each year in Richmond. They are starting to open up. but they're opening up in Richmond and they're not opening as many satellite locations. They used to teach at Barron River. They used to teach at Kentucky Lake. They used to teach at Owensboro. They used to teach at Corbin, Somerset. Well, because of the virus situation personnel, they're limiting those satellite training sites. So therefore, most of our training has to go to Richmond. So I have added $1,000 to that in the compensation of more classes having to go to Richmond. And we're eagerly trying to schedule things around here if they're offered. Also, the training, you've seen me appear with the gentleman that we hire our training group out of. Many of you have been to our training facility inside and we write that check as a total for the year, and that's for 12 persons for the year. So that comes out of that also. So that's about a $6,700 expense for 12 persons. But obviously that's only about half of the personnel I have. So, okay, communication equipment, I'm not adding anything to that. Furniture and fixtures, I'd like to add $500 to that for a total of $1,000. Law enforcement equipment, Jenny, I really don't know what that is.
Well, I was gonna ask you, I have a note, what's the difference in law enforcement equipment and law enforcement supplies? Can we combine those?
I think
Or-
we can. At one point in time, and Nancy might can answer this, there were some things that were bought for the uniform out of one of those counts. Buttons, pins, badges, whistles, things of that nature. For some reason, it was separated from uniform, and I don't know why. But obviously, we've used what, we transferred $400 into it. Is that correct?
Well, it started out with a zero budget
Mhm.
and we have used $3,500.
We probably need to figure out,
So
I wonder if that's not some uniform stuff that got
I
translated to
don't
that
know,
camp.
it could be, but if there's not a huge difference in those two line items, I would like to combine them. If we can do that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
It would be nice to find out exactly what's coming out of that though.
I can find out. for
Please
you.
do, because it may be a uniform thing.
Okay.
Motor vehicle, obviously we have zero here. Now, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my projection is to get for the, I guess this is gonna be the 21-22 budget. I'd like to get 2 new and 2 used is what I'd like to do. And that's pending no obvious problems, breakdowns, wrecks, whatever.
Yeah.
And then office equipment, I'd like to add $500 for a total of $1,000 for office equipment. I think it'll come up to about 14.5. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't write that down as I went. I can repeat it. But I totaled it the other day, and my Post-it note fell on my folder. I think it's about $14,500 for a total of what I've recited.
And then we're gonna add that accumulated lead time line item as well, and that's a $24,000 line item.
Yeah.
For accumulated lead time.
For your employees.
That's based on 5 employees, I think.
So what's the total number on his leave time?
24,000. That's based on 5 people quitting or whatever.
Retiring.
Yeah,
And or retired.
that's right.
I see.
Right.
Because I have one else that will retire in the next few months.
Yes, so that it doesn't come out of your salary line item.
Going back to the motor vehicle now,
Yes, sir.
what's the story on that? I see a number there, Jenny, sure,
Well, we usually take that out of the ABC money.
okay, but we don't have any in the budget at all from that line item. Okay.
So like Jeff, while we're not having them out in there, then when the money comes in, that's where it's being transferred from, correct?
Because we're gonna pay them directly from the ABC fund itself.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that here's one way to look at this. If you want to go ahead and put a car, I think that would be fine, but that would drive your budget up as a whole. But
What I'm looking at, and I think Mark may be looking at it, if And nothing against the sheriff, but it makes your budget, if you're like all the other departments, that they have a place that they can get it out of theirs without it being in their budget. You understand what I'm saying, Mark? It makes, are we gonna, you know, is that the fair way of the budget for everybody that, you know?
Well, they only
You got,
created the alcohol money just for law enforcement, so.
Well, is there any way to estimate that money?
Very difficult, if I may speak on that. Obviously, it's difficult because the sales differ throughout the year. And we know what the percentage is that we get, that's stagnant. However, you can't predict the sales. And ironically, since we started, the last 8 or 10 months has been an all-time high. The COVID situation, and I can't give you the reason, is put an all-time high on those sales.
Yeah, if you remember last meeting, when we ordered those cars,
Yes.
alcohol sales up 54% from when we first started during a pandemic. Now, I don't know why, sit at home drinking, I don't know why. But
just numbers wise, I think we need to look at that just to have something on paper. Nothing against on yours. I mean, it's 0 looks good, but as far as,
I mean, I can throw you a number.
I mean,
I
so
know-
if you're gonna do 2 new, you know,
It's
just
2 new
look.
and 2 used.
And if it's in the pot, it's fine.
Right.
And we've been able to do it for you every time. It's just that 0, I guess it would be a red flag if somebody didn't understand it. Hey, let's assume it.
Let's
And
do
I'm
it.
assuming the auditors don't have a problem with that 0. I don't know.
Y'all want to put 2 new ones in there?
I mean, what is audit? When you get audit, what do they say on a 0 on motor vehicle? I don't know. I'm just talking.
Never been questioned.
Okay.
Never come up.
And a lot of times they can't answer questions about ABC money. I mean, they just can't. They dance all around ABC. We have been through that ever since we started the regulatory fees.
I guess my thought process is this. I do not want to handicap our sheriff
No,
any way whatsoever.
absolutely not.
Thank you.
So I'm looking at this from a purely positive perspective.
Mhm.
So you're wanting to put money.
I
in
wanna
there
make
just
sure
in
that
case
money's
there's not
there.
anything.
I don't want any doubt about it.
Well, like if another, I mean, I know this is AB's money, but if other department says, well, he's got 0 on there, how does he get all these vehicles? So we need to put something in there that just to defend you, even though you've not had an issue, but they'll say, well, he's got 0, he can get what he wants. But if we had that number in there and play off that number, then we can not have somebody possibly to say, well, you understand?
I do understand.
They're gonna say, well, he gets what he wants and he's got 0.
Yeah,
on his.
we don't have to use, we'll take it out of
Everybody's
the
saying
alcohol,
this,
but
but-
if we can,
Say again?
we can get the money out of the alcohol if we've got it to buy a car.
Well, that's the way I understand it, Judge, because the KRS is pretty specific that alcohol funding, whatever, I don't know the right words there, but the tax money that we receive from sales of alcohol money go to law enforcement. And that's a lot of the numbers that I put together, monthly runs, how many alcohol contacts we have, and to get down in the weeds on it, I can give you some pretty high numbers of investigations. You know, the last 3 tactical team callouts that dealt with shooting at someone, one ending up in being a murder in April of 19, derived from alcohol. And it was over 300 man hours. And you put an overtime rate at 300 man hours, and that's a lot of money.
And that's in your budget. You're having to rob out of your budget because of that.
Well, that's my point.
Right, that's why if we can put
Right.
that in there on that motor, help cushion you.
Yeah, I think it's only protected.
no contest.
And if you've seen that number and you're asking for it, and we go to the other court members that are not having this conversation, they're gonna say, well, it's in your budget. We're having to say it's in your budget now, but it's not a number that the court really sees. You understand what I'm saying?
I
We're
do.
just having to say,
do it.
Jenny, is it in there? Yeah.
How much you want to put in there?
The price for 2 new vehicles.
Well, I can tell you what the state bid price is for 2 Chevrolets. It's 40,000 per unit.
Well,
Okay,
Let's put it,
I would put the number roughly what you think.
so you're gonna put 80 in there?
I'd put the used ones in there too.
Yes,
Yes.
I think, and this is not hurting your budget, it's just putting it in there.
Okay.
Right.
Well, then you're dealing with, we'll put a high average on the last, these three, you all approved, gentlemen.
It's gonna be close.
Right.
They were 18. I would err on the side of caution and put the 2 used at value, of, let's say 22 apiece.
Easy, time you go tax.
So let's just round it to 125.
Good.
40 times 2 for two new ones, 44 for 2 used ones, round it to
I
125.
mean, we can let the other
That way,
board
that way,
members look at it. If they don't want to do it, if it's been 0 for how many years, it's fine. It's not, we're trying to do it. I just think it looks better on paper.
No contest.
and I feel very confident that the money's gonna be there. I mean,
Well, I do too.
I think, don't you, Jeff?
Well, yeah, with his statistics.
Right.
You know, when we're averaging 10 to 12 contacts, just contacts a month, that only maybe an hour or 2. But then you have one investigation that's 200 man hours on shooting.
And that's what we're thanking you on, keeping up with that, to where if anything ever comes back, you're gonna have records of that showing and Ben, and here's why, we're taking money out of that because this is why.
Well, the judge and I have had several conversations. He has had several conversations at state level too, which, and we see it, hey, we think this is the way the law was written. We're in compliance with the law, the way we understand it. And we've challenged them on the same thing.
that's
correct,
exactly right. That's exactly right.
And they've basically answered the same way.
So
We're showing our,
You talking about line item 7230, putting 125 in there?
yeah.
That sounds good.
So we kind of just look at it as vehicles, but like you're saying, you're showing man hours, it's killing your man hours. It's not just vehicles that we need to use out. It's robbing your budget of other than just having the vehicle.
Well, Squire, for instance, let me paint the picture a little bit more clearly. 3 weeks ago, we had a shooting in the eastern part of the county, northeastern part of the county. A gentleman shot into a vehicle, broke the window out, hit the headrest, 3 persons in the vehicle. That's a crime scene for us. So I've got 8 guys out there because we've got an armed individual who fled the trailer, who shot into a vehicle. The vehicle fled the scene. We're checking, trying to find the vehicle, see if there's injuries in the vehicle. Well, that was later located. There were very minor injuries for that. But this guy is now in the woods behind the house with a semi-automatic rifle. We trained for that. We responded to that. He came out, no problems with that. But now we have an investigative scene. So I've got now reduced from 8. I send some of them home. I've got my detectives and 2 or 3 more, and we're categorizing, marking, tagging, making notes, whatever. So it ends up being about 200 man hours with walking the yard, combing the grass, looking for shell casings, looking for evidence in the house. I could go on all day, but that's my point. That was derived from alcohol because he was severely intoxicated when he picked up that rifle and fired into the car. So that put the scenario in motion. And I have several more, but I won't go into it.
and I believe we're justifying every penny that's being spent here, because the deputies are doing an awesome job keeping up with it. The sheriff's department is a well-run department, as y'all know that.
I never hear any negative
No.
about it in my
No,
But you're getting my phone calls. Okay.
We appreciate you presenting this to us.
yes,
Uh,
absolutely, Sheriff.
That Jenny will get with you on the line item of that one, and it will increase your budget, but it's not your fault. It just won't put it in a line item, and I think it'll help you in the long run. And if the other court wants to do that, we'll probably present it to them that way.
And I'll be glad to talk again, as I have with you, about the same items. Unfortunately, all of us is affected. I'm sure your business on the lighter side on parts, trying to get stuff. Well, that affects our shirts, our guns, our belts, our cameras, my camera went up $175 this year.
Well, we appreciate you, even at all this, and we know everything went up, you trimmed down by what you presented us, I can tell that for sure, I appreciate that.
Well, I will say, and I'm gonna say this about every department when they come up, but I know Scott and Susan, that was their first time presenting, but what the sheriff does, he's up here weekly, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week to go over his budget either with me or the treasurer. If there's things that even are in question that may be a problem, he'll move it, try to do something different. So that's very commendable.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Well,
Is that all?
yes, we're gonna go
Thank
on
you.
to the next. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Let's see, if you see the Mr. Corner,
He'll be just a minute. Just got if you guys wanna, we could probably jump to mine if you want to real quick. Knock
Great.
it out.
let's see, we gotta put this down.
We'll need to,
Which
or,
judge?
I tell you what, let's just go ahead to the county attorney. It's a small one. We'll go ahead and knock it out real quick. How about that?
Let me get that right. Sure, if she doesn't have to be here. Okay, moving on to the county attorney, judge,
Jenny, you wanna kind of go through that?
or Jenny?
There's your precinct.
Well, she's supposed to be here at 12:45.
Oh.
As far as,
What do you want to wait then?
yeah, because I don't really know.
Okay,
I
well,
haven't-
I'm sorry then.
I haven't
I'm
had
sorry.
anything to it personally, but I don't know what she might present.
Okay, well, let's just go to mine then. Get the judge executives out. We'll start on it. I'm sorry. I just wasn't for sure if she had court or what.
And she's supposed to be here.
Okay. The first 3 we'll move on. Obviously, it's one we've never had anything budgeted for the deputy judge. And to be honest with you, I don't know why we even need that line item unless the court voted to actually pay the deputy judge. Let's see. Office staff, you can kind of see where we're at there. We do have some of our co-op students that are paid out of this. Is that correct, Jenny?
Yes.
That's working out really well for us. We may, I don't know that we'll need to increase that any. We may just watch that, monitor it a little bit. And from there down, once you get past the training, I had asked Jenny and Nancy and Sherry to have their input in this budget to see if there's anything else that possibly might need on the computer software maintenance. We just replaced that. Is that correct, Jenny? So that's done. Nancy thinks office supplies would be where we need to be. She doesn't see anything. The bonds and the bonds there.
Yeah, I'll still have to check on. all that.
Okay,
Um,
we're assuming that's went up. It's went up some. We don't know. We're just gonna check and see. Those bonds, if we need to add a little to this. Memberships, they're what they're at. We can give you a breakdown of those if you'd like to have them. I know the Kentucky Judges Association is one of the memberships. It's not that much, but I think we've got something else that comes out of there membership wise. Sure, you should have that list. Conferences, training, I have no idea what's gonna happen there.
Well,
You know,
you'll see some, I've done quite a bit this past month, so that's gonna come in.
mostly online though.
Right, yeah, but I mean, I
Yeah.
don't see that number at all being affected at all.
Renewals and repairs, it's what it is. We're in good shape there. Telephone,
Did we get a new system up here?
yes.
That was this past year.
No, I think that was the last budget year. Yeah. Yeah. Travel. Haven't done any travel. Everything's behind this computer screen, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Furnitures and fixtures. again, I let them advise me on that, and they said they were good. So let's hold yours, because Tim's in here. Great. Come on over here, Tim. Let's see here.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the coroner, and thank you for handing out your sheets of paper, and we'll let you, we've been going down line item by line item. Sure. We're just talking about operationals. We're not talking about any kind of salaries at this meeting, okay?
Well, if you'll notice on what the handout, the budget is just gonna leave it the same as last year, the one we're in now, with the exception of two things. And one of those is renewals and repairs. If you'll just drop down to that one, it's almost at 100%. And I've got a schedule for servicing, so it's probably going, it'll take that. But had a few things we had to do to the van this year. Hopefully we won't have to next year. But, it is 12 years old. It's got 133,000 miles on it. Still runs good. Try to keep it, serviced, tuned up and good to go. So maybe just if we could add another 500 to that, and hopefully we won't need it, but it's obviously there if we do. And then if you'll drop on down to where I have written in indigent burial and cremation.
Yes.
And I know we briefly spoke about this a while back. And if you'll notice in your packets, I have copies for you guys to look at of how that looks. And this amount of money, and $4,000, is just to be set aside in case there is a need to have to access this for a cremation or burial. We may not use any of it. This particular year, we have had to pay for one cremation, and it's only going to get worse. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't plan for this end of their life, right, with no funds or no ability or no way to pay for it.
What was the cost of that one cremation?
It was 500 maybe.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look for sure, but I think it's around 500.
We just had one this year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it was 500.
Okay.
We budgeted 800 is what we've had in the old budget.
We have a line item for pauper burials.
It's not in the corner.
Okay, that's in the counties.
Oh,
General.
That's
Gotcha.
a general fund.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, I mean, if you would like to take that to put into that particular fund, there is, if you'll notice in your paperwork, it's pretty stringent guidelines to access those funds. It's not, you can't just walk in and say, hey, he didn't have any money. I'm sorry. He's my cousin, but I ain't paying for it. For my brother, it just don't work like that. The county can and will take possession of any assets that deceased may have, be it monies or physical stuff, cars, whatever, and then at some point disperse of that to offset the cost that the county was out for the burial or cremation. And this document, I still will need to run by the county attorney. I've had it looked at, it looks good, but obviously we want her blessing on it also. That is, if y'all have any questions, that's just kind of where we're at right now.
So do they line item is, or do you just want to leave it at what we have it?
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, maybe a DOD question.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
They may want us to keep it in the general. I don't know.
Right.
Since the county's ultimately responsible and not the corner, we might
That
just
may
have
be
to
the
keep
way
it
to
in
set up.
general fund.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's something to think about and check on.
All right.
And like I said, I just threw that number out there. And if you'll notice in your package, when you look at it, the bid actually is for cremation only. There is a set amount for a burial. And this document was molded very much after one in Hardin County. I've talked with them at great length. It's worked very well for them. And actually, I think for the past year, they've only had to access it one time. You know, they have way more deaths than we do. So, you know, hopefully it's something that, you know, we absolutely do not want to get in the business of burying cremate people. We're not going to do that. Unfortunately, there's times that things have to be done. You know, we've had one burial at the county cemetery this year. And fortunately, a friend of this person paid for that. So, you know, all we were out with, I guess, the county road crews were going up there with a backhoe and digging the grave and covering it back.
So the cremations are 500, and you said there's a set amount for a funeral. Do you know what that amount is?
It's 1900.
19. Okay.
Yes. And you'll notice on that, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It lays out the guidelines for that. You know, there is no funeral. It is direct burial with a steel casket.
Bare minimum.
Nothing, no funeral home, no embalming, no visitation, no anything. They pick up the deceased from wherever they're at, put them in a casket, and we take them out there and bury them, and we can get the grave done.
My opinion on this, looks like to me, either way, the county, whether it's in your budget or whatever, the county is gonna be paying for it. I would think, Mark, you and Billy, let's just put the line item in the corner, take it out of whatever it is and let it see it there, because he's the one that's gotta deal with it and look at it. Is that bad or? Well, because the county is paying for it.
Well, I need to check with DOT.
Yeah.
on that.
Right, but I'm just saying, if that happens, what do you all think? If it's okay, Mark, wouldn't you want to see it in the corners versus an imaginary wherever the county picks it up?
I agree, Jeff. I think that's where it would apply.
And DOG may say, this is an unfunded mandate that you need to keep just in the general fund. And we don't know, we'll ask.
All right, that's fine. It is.
I mean, obviously it doesn't make any difference to me. It's just where it needs to be, but I just feel like it needs to be at least that, and just let the court know that, you know, like to proceed with this and see if we can just get this implemented.
We appreciate you bringing that to our attention, making that recommendation, because, you know, and that we got it budgeted, that's the big, and Tim is very mindful of his budget as well, you know. I couldn't do your job, Tim. That's good news. So, but thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. So you want to adjourn for lunch there?
Yes, we're gonna take a break. Let's see, it's 11:51. We're probably gonna cut it a little shorter. We'll be back here and keep it on schedule with the department heads. We'll be back here
12:45.
at 12:45.